Adding animations to your character can really take your 2D side view game to the next level. In this video, we'll cover the process of making animation clips, from creating keyframes of our player's movement. We'll organize those animation clips into an animation controller, and then write a script that controls the animation controller based on the user input. The character we're working on today is already fully rigged and set up for movement, so if you need to figure out how to do that, click the video on screen now. This video is part of a much larger series where I cover everything you need to know for building your own 2D side view game. The project is available for free through my GitHub account, and you can access that by clicking the link in the description below. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and also check out my Patreon account if you want to donate that way. Also, be sure to follow us on our social media accounts to get updates on the latest videos. Alright, so in Unity, let's start by adding an animator to our character by clicking the Add component and searching for Animator. Next, I'll create a folder for our animations by right-clicking in the project panel, navigating to Create, and selecting Folder. I'll name this folder Animation and then double-click it to open the project panel. Now I'll create an animation controller by right-clicking in the project panel, navigating to Create, and selecting Animation Controller, and I'll name this controller Player. Then I'll select the player and drag in the controller. Next, let's open the animation controller, and we can do that by double-clicking the animation controller in the project panel or navigating to the Window tab, highlighting Animation, and selecting Animator. Our animation controller will control the different states our character will be in, playing the animation assigned with each state. To create animations, we need to open the animation window, and we can do that by navigating to the Window tab, highlighting Animation, and selecting Animation. We can create a new animation for our character if we select our character and click the Create button in the animation panel. The first animation I'll create is an idle animation, and I'll click the red circle icon to start recording keyframes for the animation. So for this, I'll simply move the head and left arm up and down to simulate the character breathing. Next, I'll create a new animation by highlighting the animation dropdown and selecting Create New Clip. Let's name this animation clip Walk. And now if I go back to the Animator window, you can see our newly created idle and walk states. Currently, the idle state is the default state, but we could easily change that by simply right-clicking on the new animation state and selecting Set Layer as Default State. Now we can start creating our state transitions. I'll right-click on the idle animation and select the Make Transition option, dragging the arrow to the walk state. I'll make another transition from the walk state to the idle state by doing the same thing. And now we're ready to create some parameters to trigger the state changes. So I'll select the Parameters menu and click the plus icon. In the dropdown, let's select bool, calling this variable isWalking. Then let's click the transition from idle to walk, and in the conditions menu in the inspector panel, I'll click the plus icon, selecting the isWalking variable, changing the state if the value is true. Let's also set the condition for the walk to idle transition, setting the variable to the isWalking variable, changing the state if the value is false. Next, let's set up the walk animation, and I'll complete this cycle in about 4 or 5 different poses. Feel free to use a diagram that showcases the different walk stages like the one on screen now. Next, let's run the game, and as you can see, the player immediately begins playing the idle animation. Then when we select the is walking variable in the animator, our player switches to the walk animation. Now let's set up our jump animation, and all I'll do for this animation is just bring the right leg back and the left arm forward a little bit, just to make it look like we're in midair. So in our animator, let's connect the jump animation by creating a transition from the any state to the jump animation, and a transition from the jump animation back to our idle animation. Let's create a new parameter as well. This time I'll create a trigger called jump. And let's apply the parameter as a condition of transition from the any state to the jump state. Alright, let's set up our last parameter by selecting the plus icon and selecting bool. We'll call this parameter is grounded. And let's set the condition of the transition from the jump state back to the idle state, changing the state if the value is true, so if they are grounded. So now we need to create the script that controls the animation state of our player, and we can do that by right-clicking the project panel, navigating to create, and selecting C# script. I'll name this script Animate, and I'll double-click it to open it in Visual Studio. First, let's create a variable for our animator. And in the update function, we'll check if the input along the horizontal axis is equal to 0. If the horizontal axis input is not 0, then we'll play the walking animation by setting the isWalking variable on the animator to true. If the horizontal axis input is 0, then we'll stop playing the walk animation and we'll transfer back to the idle animation. Then let's use the onCollision enter 2D function to detect when the player collides with the ground, setting the is grounded bool on the animator to true. In Unity, let's apply the Animate script to our player's game object, making sure to drag in the animation controller to the variable in the script. Now if we play our game and start moving from side to side, our walk animation plays correctly along with the jump animation. What's up everyone, thanks for watching. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also make sure to follow us on social media to get the latest news updates.